In this module, we will be introducing formulas and functions. So what is a formula? A formula consists of a special code entered into a cell which performs a calculation of some type and returns a result which is displayed in the cell. A formula can consist of any of these elements: mathematical operators, cell references, values or text, or worksheet functions. Now let us look at a few examples. The first example multiplies 200 times 0.2 and returns a value. This value remains constant throughout. The second example adds the values in A1 and A2 and returns the result. This result changes dynamically when the values in A1 or A2 are changed. The third example is a function and it adds the values in the ranges of A1 and A10. This is also dynamic. The fourth example compares the values in A1 and A10 and returns true if it is equal, else false. Formulas always begin with an equal sign so that Excel can distinguish them from text. As you see, the left cell is treated as text while the right, which begins with an equal to, is treated as formula and returns a calculated value. Excel lets you use a variety of operators in your formula. The table lists the operators that Excel recognizes. When Excel calculates the value of a formula, it uses certain rules to determine the order in which the various parts of the formula are calculated. You need to understand these rules if you want your formula to produce desired results. Table shows Excel operator precedence. You can use parentheses to override the Excel's built-in order of precedence. Now suppose you want to add the values in A1 and A2 and multiply it by A3, you will have to use parentheses. If you directly type out A1 plus A2 into A3, first A2 is multiplied by A3 and then added with A1. Many formulas you create are worksheet functions. These functions enable you to greatly enhance the power of your formulas and perform calculations that are difficult if you use only the operators discussed previously. Let us look at an example. Suppose you want to find the average of 10 numbers in column A by using only the plus operator and the divide. This is a very tedious task. An alternative is to use the average function of worksheet, and this is done by putting an equal to sign and typing out the first letter, say A, and you get a drop down list from which you can choose average and then choose the range A1 to A10. As you can see, the answer will be the same. Functions vary in how they use arguments. These arguments can be cell references, the literal value, literal text string, an expression, or other functions themselves. When you create a formula, think twice before using a literal value. For example, if you want to multiply a sales tax by revenue, then instead of typing out directly the sales tax, use a cell to store the value. For example, for 35% we store it as 0.35 and then use it to multiply it with whatever value required. In this way, if the sales tax changes over time, you can directly change it within the cell and all the other formulas which are using the sales tax will dynamically change. As I mentioned earlier, a formula must begin with an equal sign to inform Excel that the cell contains a formula rather than text. Excel provides two ways to enter a formula, manually and by pointing, and we also will be looking at how to insert functions into a formula. Let us look at an example. If you want to add the values in ranges A1 and A2, first by doing it manually, you type out equal to A1 plus A2. For pointing, you say equal to and actually click on the cells which require to be entered into the formula. Now we're going to look at how to include functions in the formula. So suppose you want to add sum, you say equal to sum and then you can choose it, and Excel itself tells you the arguments that need to be included. Most formulas you create include references to cell ranges. As mentioned earlier, these references enable your formulas to work dynamically. So there are three types of references. The first is relative. The row and column references can change when you copy the formula to another cell. By default, Excel creates relative cell references in formulas. As you can see, when the formula in the first row was copied, the formula changed relatively in the following rows. Now suppose you do not want a particular cell in the formula to change, we include a dollar sign before the row and column. In this case, we want the sales tax cell to remain constant throughout the column. So if you notice, the cell L12 remains constant in all 4 rows. Now we will calculate the total the same way as the previous table. So here again, when the formula is dragged, these cells change relatively. Next we look at the third method. This is mixed, where you want either the column or the row to remain constant. So here we want the column C and the row 17 to remain constant, and the formula can be copied to the cells by dragging either horizontally or vertically. In this figure 3, we are trying to create the multiplication table. You can check which cells a particular formula depends on by clicking on formula and trace precedence. So this shows that total depends on quantity and price. You can also see which formulas use a particular cell. So this shows that the sales tax is used by every formula under the column sales tax. A table is a specially designed range of cells set up with column headers. Here you see 3 columns: name, weekly target and actual sales. So let us convert this into a table. Select the entire range, go to insert and click on table. You can see that it has been converted into a table. If you would like to calculate the total weekly target or total actual sales, you don't even need to write a formula. Simply click a button to add a row of summary formulas to the table. You can see various parameters like sum, maximum, minimum, average, etc. that can be chosen as a part of the summary. The same can be done for weekly target as well. In many cases, you will want to use formulas within a table to perform calculations that use other columns. For example, in the table shown, you may want a column that shows the difference between the actual and target amounts. Simply type difference in the next column and the table gets extended automatically. Type the formula in the first row. You will see that the formula is directly copied into the other rows in the table.